So George Lewis studied composition and trombone, and his work in electronic and computer music, computer-based multimedia installation and notated and improvisation forms is documented on more than 150 records. He's a professor of American music at Columbia University, where he serves as a chair in composition and faculty in historical musicology. George has been an artistic director of the International Contemporary Ensemble since April 2022, and this is one of the reasons why he's here with us. So thank you for being with us, George, and we are really interested and keen about hearing how the IC and your work as a director is linked to the topic.
Well, thank you, Jörg, and thank you also, Clemens and Bongani, for that extraordinary talk. And despite the technical issues, I certainly learned a lot. I'm going to share my screen for a little short presentation. Hopefully there'll be time for questions afterwards. Let's see how that works out. Does everyone see our little logo there? So I hope you're okay. Wave if you don't see or whatever. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I wanted to take a few moments to describe the recent and current and future activities of our group, the International Contemporary Ensemble, which was described as renowned just recently by the New York Times. And I would say that it's one of the most influential new music groups, maybe even in the world. It was founded in 2001 by the composer Wang Ro and the flutist Claire Chase. And we are 34 experienced musicians who perform in forces ranging from soloists to chamber orchestras. And we've developed and premiered over 1,000 works, both nationally in the US and internationally. Our educational activities provide workshops and performances of hundreds of works by student composers, and ensemble members have received many international prizes and awards, MacArthur Fellowships, Guggenheim Fellowships, Pulitzer Prize, Halpert Award of the Arts. And you can see our mission statement here. Again, we're a collective of musicians who are committed to creating collaborations built on equity, belonging, and cultural responsiveness. We strive to create a mosaic musical ecosystem that honors the diversity of human experience and expression by commissioning, developing, and performing the works of living artists. Now, as a collective, we're committed to advancing experimental music, and it's our responsibility in that light to challenge our biases and practices around who performs or has their works performed on the world stages. We acknowledge that Western classical music has excluded individuals based on wealth, race, sex, pedigree, background, gender identity, disabilities, sexual orientation, and much more. If that weren't the case, we wouldn't really be here. And we're actively making changes to all entry points to our organization, as you'll see over the next few minutes. We want to ensure in particular that Black, Indigenous, and/or people of color are represented throughout the organization and on the stages that we appear on, and that our operations, our staff, our decision-making structures support building spaces of belonging for everyone involved in the process of developing new music. So that's an interesting introduction. You know, I recently published an article in Van Outer National called New Music Decolonization and 8 Difficult Steps. And the reason why I actually accepted this position as artistic director of the ensemble, because I could see that that mission statement I just read was more than just talk. I mean, for years, well before the advent of Black Lives Matter, ICE has been actively confronting those issues. The ensemble continues to move decisively to combat the sensory deprivation, impoverishment, and devolution of the field of new music that has resulted from the consistent absences of the same ethnic, racial, and gender voices from stages, media, music histories, educational institutions, and professional networks. ICE is providing answers to the question of how music curators could start composing and improvising decolonization. We seek to provide a model for what a decolonized curatorial regime would look like, and our commitment to this is sustained and growing, but also of long standing. So the first of my 8 difficult steps asks us to move beyond kinship and invest in new populations. We want to encourage ensembles to commission and programming in diverse ways, including specific calls for composers of color and diverse genders, as well as historical and cultural themes that foreground non-majoritarian experience. For years now, ICE has already been investing heavily in new populations. Our open call, the call for blank program, Commission and Development Program, is an open call to sound creators from any discipline. We don't call for scores. We call for artists to give us aspects of what they would want to do of a processual nature. The artists we select receive the support of ensemble musicians, rehearsal time, video and audio documentation, marketing support, and a paid commission, all alongside performances of their pieces. So these are some of the people who have already have had their premieres done in just the past couple of weeks. Others are forthcoming. And well before the advent of our Call For program, ICE was already programming in diverse ways. You see here Du Yun, who won the Pulitzer Prize in 2017 for her opera Angel's Bone, which our ensemble developed and premiered. And Call For itself is the development of ICE Lab, which starting in 2014, almost 10 years ago, provided crucial early support for now prominent composers like Ash Fury, Marcos Balter, Phyllis Chen, Juan Pablo Carreño, Taishan Sori, Laura M. Hindle, Monica Duncan, and Anna Torvalds-Dottir. Here's some more recent events. Mata Roberts is a commission, and that was one that we've been involved. Mata Roberts is a member of the ensemble. Our 4 Generations of Mexican Sonic Arts project, which was done back in 2008. Taishan Sori's Perle Noire, a project around rethinking Josephine Baker, which has been performed around the world at this point. Coming up this weekend, 2 events, the Iranian Female Composers Association concert at NYU Skirball, for those who can get to New York. And the very next day, Phyllis Chen will be presenting a global community artwork with personalized music boxes made by the participants. And that's just a bit of the wide range of artists we work with and aesthetics. And I invite you to learn more by visiting that iceorg.org, that big black web address there. Now, in influential circles in European public life and media, and I learned a lot more about this by being a fellow of the Wissenschaftskolleg in Berlin during the pandemic year of 2020 and 2021, where I helped the Ensemble Moderne in curating a project of Afro-modernism in contemporary music. We featured 6 composers, Afro-diasporic composers, diverse in age, from Europe, Jesse Cox, Hannah Kendall, and Daniel Cadane. From Cuba and the US, Tanya Leon. From South Africa, Andile Kumalo, and from the USA, Alvin Singleton. So what we noticed that, as you'll see if you read this article, it's probably still on the web, issues such as decolonization, anti-Blackness, and white supremacy are often dismissed as an American problematic that European music really has nothing to do with. Now, this is a critic for the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, of course, a very influential paper, who claimed in a review of the Ensemble Moderne concert, the global dispute revolves around concepts such as decolonization and white supremacy. By bringing the main front of the current disputes into focus with the theme of Black music, Märzmusik, where this concert took place, simultaneously imported the American problematic. Now, there was an article recently in Le Monde Diplomatique which pointed to the Americanization of public life and a militantisme qui divise les classes populaires. Now, the odd thing is that there's hardly any data support that claim by government design. Social scientist Patrick Simon noted that, quote, the refusal to include ethnic categories in official statistics characterizes nearly all the countries of Western Europe. One claim made by European policymakers is that ethnic categories are rejected in order to promote national unity and avoid identity politics. However, as Simon writes, one may well wonder whether the negation of minority identities that prevails in the name of universalism is not often simply a tactic for consolidating the position of dominant groups. Thus, the title of one of Simon's articles on the French government's refusal to collect race and ethnicity statistics seems apt. He calls it the choice of ignorance. Now, realizing this, our ensemble developed Luigi, a powerful online management tool now used by a number of companies in and out of the arts. Among many other things, Luigi allows us to instantly track whether or not our actions are living up to our mission. It allows the generation report showing what repertoire and which composers have been performed since Luigi came online in 2014. We do not choose ignorance. And this screen, for example, shows the most recent and forthcoming events. You can see here the IFCA, the Iranian Female Composers Association, the Phyllis Chen workshop, the workshop with Louis Nielsen and Kevin Ramsey, part of the Call For program, and Henry Threadgill, a performance, and so on. So those recent upcoming events. So another one of my steps talks about diversifying school music programs to identify and recruit young composers, and not even young composers. I'm interested in composers of all ages because the exclusions have not been confined to the young. And so we're looking at people who are considerably established, but who have nonetheless been underrepresented. Now, you have to develop the fields you want to see. That's our view. It's not just a question of finding repertoire by underrepresented artists. You have to create the conditions by which the same exclusions and erasures no longer appear. So this is Ensemble Evolution. This is our hybrid summer music intensive. It's designed to foster a holistic understanding of the artist as global citizen. Through workshops, conversations, and radical artistic collaborations with the faculty and students, we engage in music making, community building, and creative producing. And with the following guiding questions: how do we discover and nourish new musical ideas? How can technology, as well as curatorial processes, make collaboration more open and inclusive? And how do we support one another in the creation and advancement of collaborative ensembles? Now, this is the faculty of the ensemble that you see here, as very diverse in many respects. And you can also see the guest presenters who are working on things like inclusion in new music, wellness and health, and other kinds of issues. And then this is the list of the participants. Once again, we do not call for scores. We call for people who, and a lot of the music that gets presented is not scored, although this has no problem with scores. But we realize, as was stated in the last panel, that by one of the questioners, that this could limit the scope of the participation. And you start to see that ICE realizes that Ensemble Evolution, we made this, it wasn't about creating a performance ensemble, but about bringing together, that's what ensemble means, a set of musical creators to further the evolution of our field. So another of my 8 difficult steps calls for strategies for rethinking curation, including engaging curators from non-majoritarian backgrounds. Now, even the present curators need to realize, and I think this is something that was very important, the collaboration between Ensemble Recherche and Bongani and Donna Breen, realize that, you know, curators, ensembles, institutions, they need to realize that they've not already been programming in diverse ways. You know, they might need some outside help to do that effectively. So our version of that was to come up with a curation task force. In 2020 and 2021, our curation task force brought together a group of artists to critically examine the International Contemporary Ensemble's decision-making, its vision, as well as what we feel is our future of what could be performed on the world stages, who performs those works, and who makes decisions about what gets programmed. Now, educational ensembles, curators, educational institutions, news and information media need to work together to produce change, to combat that lifting, to lift that cone of silence, to combat the pernicious myth of absence that claims that the only reason why we don't see artists of color and women is simply because, well, no one's really around. So ICE integrates composition and performance with scholarship. Our 2021 Afro-Diasporic Opera Forum was a 3-day series of scholarly lectures and discussions to celebrate, explore, and share and reflect on the past, future, present, and future of contemporary Afro-Diasporic opera. Now, here are some of the events. There was the persistence of memory, talking about opera, Blackness, voice, and theoretical paradigms with Dr. Matthew Morrison, and Peril Noir, a conversation with Dr. Tyshawn Sori. There was 2 acts to this: Black opera composers in European classical music, constructing the operatic Afro-diaspora. And here are some of the forum bios. You see people this is just a few of the people who are thinking hard about Black opera, including one of the preeminent scholars in that area, Dr. Naomi Andre, who wrote about Bongani Ndodala Green's famous opera, Winnie. So there's an explicit commitment to equity here, which for us includes equity in terms of the important meaning of investment. For example, ICE tries to develop long-term relationships with composers. And in fact, I myself am a product of one of those relations. Now, I received an instruction about this panel that we would focus specifically on composers and new repertoire. And you can see that I didn't really do that, because with respect, that's really not enough. We see the project of decolonization as not just about diversifying the set of composers who get programmed, but also diversifying the staff, the board, the musicians, and all the projects that go out under our name. We look explicitly at gender, ethnicity, race, cultural provenance, sexuality, and much more. And we look for people who haven't been programmed by the ensemble before. We look at infrastructure, who gets major support. We try to look for erasures and ameliorating them. We haven't found them all, so feel free to put more in our path. Now, but for me, the most important aspect, and this is the last of my 8 steps, was we need a change of consciousness. You know, some of the children of color being born right now will be writing a new sonic chapter in the history of the region and the world, one that recognizes, with the philosopher Arnold I. Davidson, the true promise of new music decolonization. Multiplication of perspectives means multiplication of possibilities. With that in mind, we can start to redirect diversity talk toward new music decolonization talk. You know, but what keeps us, I was thinking, from realizing this promise? And I feel for some time now that there's a blockage of consciousness that's probably the greatest obstacle. And my fear has always been that diversity discourse has become rather conventionalized, DEI, a buzzword. It risks leading us to a prosthetics of inclusion, you know, like a clunky metal knee replacement, you know? But instead of that, I think you and I, need to invent a new incarnative we that understands contemporary music as more than simply a globalized, pan-European, white sonic diaspora. And if this new we we're trying to create, can embrace our future, even with all its tumulus, if we can put ourselves conceptually in the situation of a Creole, you know, we can reaffirm our common humanity in the pursuit of this new music decolonization, because this is not just about a single project with us. This is about a new way of life, and it's about creating new ways of knowing. So I'm going to stop in just a second, but this is the last thing I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about what our name means. You know, unpacking the full name, international, that situates us in a cosmopolitan musical space where our community of sounds and values looks to engage with the entire planet. You know, the term contemporary leads us to embody a mosaic, creolized identity that challenges racialized genre and identity assumptions. Ensemble situates us as an organization that works to build new transnational communities. And, you know, we have this acronym nickname ICE or ICE, you know, and ICE, you know, you can see that. That simply means that what we're doing and where we're headed, we see it's not only crucial to the future of new music, but it's also very cool. And it's not to be confused with any other ICE you might have out there. So thanks, that's all I wanted to say. And thanks for listening. And I welcome questions.